is up, basketball fans? Welcome to the newest episode of the Harold McBasketball Show. I'm your gracious host, as always, Harold McBasketball, with my co-host, I Know Ball Paul. Paul, how are you, man?
Feeling all right. A bit tired today. It was one of those days where I went to the gym, did like 2 sets, and I was like, meh, I'm out of here. I don't know what it is. Just a bit tired today, under the weather, but
Yeah,
you are recovering from COVID, which is why we didn't have an episode last week. So I don't think it's anything compared to the struggles you've been going through. So I'm trying to keep that in mind.
yeah, that's true. I'm still recovering a little bit, fans. So bear with me a little bit. I might sound a little bit stuffy, but we're back anyway, making content for y'all. Everyone was begging us online to come out with a new episode. Everyone was like, "What's going on? Like, we still need our weekly content." We don't care that it's the off season. We don't care that there's been like pretty much no news basketball related like the last 3 weeks. Everyone still wants content, so we're back to provide anyway.
Yeah, the FIBA World Cup's been going on, and that's actually what we're going to talk about for the latter half of this episode. We're going to do a bad teammates draft just for meme purposes. I don't know. It was an idea Harry had, and I was like, yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
that
we're
sounds
riding it.
fun.
Yeah, we'll
And
see how it goes.
yeah,
Also started the NFL season, so we'll give you guys some huge NFL talk right now for all you guys who are clamoring to hear about football. Now it's the first day back. Paul, who's your Super Bowl champion? We're experts when it comes to football as well.
um, the Chiefs, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Mahomes, Patrick
yeah.
Mahomes,
They've got Mahomes. He's pretty good.
right? I think Travis Kelce was injured, right? I mean, I'm saying this with confidence. He
Yeah,
was. That sucks. Big blow for the Chiefs, but with a star in Mahomes. I don't watch football. I don't watch it anymore. I used to be a pretty big fan, but it was, I don't know, too much of a commitment slash I just kind of fell out of love with it. Basketball is my true love, so
yeah.
Chiefs,
Basketball's cooler.
Patrick Mahomes is awesome. So there you go. Chiefs for the Super Bowl. Eagles, my second pick. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of hype around them online. So
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm gonna go with the Chargers because I still like their baby blue uniform. So that's my take. I think they look cool, and I think Justin Herbert's cool. So they're my winner. That's it. That's football talk.
you
Okay, let's
still
get
you still
what's
watch a
up?
lot of football though.
Yeah, I do, but I don't really care about it.
Okay. The
It's
Chargers are
more.
good.
I don't know. I think they're good enough. They're not that good. Like they're probably not winning it, but
Okay.
they're my pick because I like their jerseys. So that's what we're going with. Yeah, I watch a good bit, but like primarily just for fantasy football and like keeping up with people.
All right. Anyway, should we get started
Should
on
we get
this
to it?
bad
Yeah,
teammate?
let's get to what really matters. Let's get to the content that the people are dying for. All right, bad teammates draft. So we're just gonna draft 5 people. Can be anybody. They can be like bad teammates because they just like suck to play with, or like they're just total pieces of shit. Like whatever it might be. Pretty much like anybody qualifies. Like as long as like their teammates hate them for some reason. Do you want to start us off, Paul? You want to get the first overall pick for this one?
Yes. Okay. So last draft when we did the name draft, you picked first, so I think it is right that I pick first. We can do
Yep.
a snake draft if you want, where it's like I go
Nah,
first.
nah, whatever. Nah,
No,
just
okay.
go for it. Because I feel like snake draft with 2 people just like isn't it? It's just gonna get confusing.
It's
So
just I pick first, then you do two, then I do two, then you do two, then I do two.
I don't
Oh
like
no,
that.
you said no.
I feel like better podcasting is we alternate.
Okay. So for better podcasting purposes, I'll go first. And before I do, I
Let's do
will
it.
say one last thing. Anything we say about these players, they're alleged, they're in our opinion. You can't sue us because we said this. Because some of these,
Yeah,
I don't know, they're rumors, they're kind of gut feelings. So
some of it's factual, so I don't know.
some of it is factual, but allegedly, in our opinion,
Yeah,
we don't know nothing about nobody. Okay. So okay, for my first overall pick, I think it's fairly obvious in my opinion, and that would be Gilbert Arenas.
that's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Some of his antics include pulling a gun on his teammate, Jarvis Crittenton, over gambling dispute. He has admitted to defecating in Andre Bloch's shoes in return for,
Poor Andre Bloch.
I forget what he
What did he
did to
do,
deserve that.
man? Probably nothing. Gilbert Arenas is like a total piece of shit. He
Yeah.
is like legitimately a menace to society.
Yeah, I forget. And he's the one who like put that out in the world that he just shit in his shoes. I think Andre Blatch had done something to him, thrown his clothes in the jacuzzi for I don't know why it started, but like apparently that was the natural retaliation. And then there's also that video where I don't know if they were teammates, so maybe it's not technically being a bad teammate, but he like broke into Nick Young's house. He just like hopped over the fence, all while filming it, I think, on Instagram Live. And then he was like a total asshole to Nick Young's kid. He just like hit a toy out of his hand, made him cry. Starts like asking Nick Young about like the I forget her name, that rapper that like D'Angelo Russell kind of exposed that he was cheating on her with, Iggy Azalea.
Oh yeah,
So he was just being a menace. I was like, oh my god, he just seemed like a ass hat, and so that's why he's my number one overall pick. Um, yeah, Gilbert Arenas, worst teammate.
great pick. Yeah, I think that was the clear 1-1. I would have gone with No Chill Gil, had you not. So I'm gonna go with someone I think is like our strong number two. I'm gonna go with Delonte West for fucking LeBron's mom and ruining that Cavaliers team.
Great pick. Yeah, that I think is like super allegedly. I don't think that.
And I think that's pretty much exactly why we had to have that caveat at the start where we're like, we're pretty sure this is like we're actually not like sure about anything, but like this is the rumor, this is what has been alleged, so we're
Yeah,
rolling with it.
I feel like when that situation happened, LeBron ended up having like a horrible game after, which like did not help. But
Mm.
like I think it's like pretty like I don't know. Did that happen? I don't know.
It's certainly not in fact right now, but I think it's like it's too wild of a rumor for me not to ride with it. Like it's absolutely insane that like this story ever came out and has been alleged. And Delonte West is like super weird guy. Also like a recovering addict right now. Wishing him the best. Wishing him the best. Um, I don't know. He's definitely a weird enough guy for this to have totally happened.
All right. Solid number one pick for you.
Yeah, yeah. I think hot start for the draft.
Yeah, that guy must have some demons because yeah, tough arc after the NBA too. I think he's doing okay now. I think that's the update. I know like a year or two ago there was a video that surfaced of him like I think on crack cocaine outside of a gas station or something.
Yeah,
I think he's doing all right now, but wishing him the best. All right. My next pick will be I think I'm gonna go Kyrie.
yeah. Awesome. Perfect.
I think yeah.
There,
So
there, there are a lot of former Brooklyn Nets who could definitely be in consideration.
yeah, that's I don't know what it is about that team. But let's see. I have missing 8 games because he didn't want to denounce like an anti-Semitic movie he shared.
Oh my god.
He tends to very much like I don't know. He's a bit of like a faux intellectual with this stuff, and it's like, dude, just like keep it to yourself. That's fine. Believe what you want to believe. Like, why are these things coming up in press conferences? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna get too into whatever, but then there was the not getting vaxxed saga.
God.
Like again, like whatever. That's kind of a borderline thing. Like, yeah, it's your belief, but like just get vaxxed, like, dude. And it totally like derailed that entire season. Didn't play like half the games, obviously, because he couldn't play at home and some other arenas. That's what people think might have caused the rift with Harden, but I think that goes a bit deeper than that. Like Harden is definitely his own beast, and maybe already had his eyes set on Philly. And then just like he's injured or like I talked about, there's always something happening with Kyrie. He has missed 30% of all the games in his career for an injury or one of these reasons. So generally unavailable for his team. Incredible player, one of the most satisfying players to watch, but I think he qualifies as a pretty bad teammate when you can't stay on the floor and you kind of put your own like weird beliefs at the forefront of like, before your team and whatnot. So I'm
Hmm.
happy that I got him and Gilbert as my backcourt. That's pretty filthy
Def-
back. That's me.
Definitely a good start to this team. Devil's advocate though. I feel like Kyrie's teammates always still really like him,
Yeah.
right? Like that is like, and I still totally agree. Like he's such a shitty teammate just because he can't be on the floor. He is always this huge distraction. But like weirdly, like everyone who plays with him likes him, and then even after he leaves, his ex teammates still generally like very much like him. Like all the Celtics players still love Kyrie, and after like every time they play, it's always like hugs and convos after the game. Everyone always speaks like super highly of him. It's a very strange thing.
I think I looked into it, and there have been some teammates that have made like some passive aggressive comments. I wish I had them, but Marcus Morris, I think, kind of had made
Yeah, well, I
some
mean, he's
comments. I know.
Marcus Morris is also like,
I think the stars love Kyrie, and I think that's because he's such an excellent player, and he's probably like a decent dude. But um, that's a fair point. Yeah, his teammates don't hate him. Gilbert Arenas, I'm sure he has so many teammates that hate his guts. But
yes. Yeah, I
uh,
think defecating in shoes is like another level of just like teammate on teammate violence. Regardless of Kyrie, total piece of shit. Yeah, shitty teammate.
allegedly, our internet footprint is definitely hopefully
Yeah.
become a popular podcast. We'll have
Yeah,
some.
yeah. News headlines. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go with another Nets guy. I'm gonna go with James Harden because he also doesn't want to play for the teams that he plays for. And I just love his method of when he wants a trade, just getting fat. He just gets fat, plays like shit, throws the ball out of bounds whenever he wants, and just like becomes like an absolute mess in the locker room until they're finally just like we just like have to trade him because this is a complete disaster. Then he pretty much did that to get out of Houston. Pretty much the same thing to get out of Brooklyn, and now I would not be surprised if we see the return of Fat James Harden this upcoming season with Philly. Um, yeah, and he just like has this weird thing where I think he has this mentality where he just always has to be the best player on the court. And I think that was kind of masked for a little while in Brooklyn with other excuses. But I think it's pretty clear now that he's asking out of Philly. It's pretty much just because he's not the guy and he wants to take every shot. And if he can't take every single shot, then he wants to get out of there.
Yeah, we did a whole episode on his antics, and like, yeah, I don't know. I do not like the James Harden vibes all so much. And I feel like there's a whole camp of people that think he's like so good and that like he needs to be the star of his own team, and he's definitely in his own camp with that. But it's like it's just not the case, man. You have the perfect duo in Embiid, and I don't know. It's too bad that I don't know. He doesn't realize that he's had so many just like perfect situations, and he just seems to be a bit too focused on his himself. And we don't know every detail, but I definitely tend to believe that yeah, he doesn't see that he's kind of the problem each time.
He totally is. Let's not talk about Harden too much because he's proven to be bad for our ratings.
Right.
So for that, we're done talking about Harden. But yeah, total piece of shit. Yeah, no, and it's not been great for several locker rooms now over the last couple of years. All right, your third pick.
Um, I'm torn between two guys.
Ooh, I like it.
I think I'll go Allen Iverson.
Oh, okay.
You know, one of the most ball dominant players ever. Infamously said that practice was basically useless to him.
Refuses to
Um,
lift weights.
yeah, and then
Legitimately
he's
refuses. He's like, they're too heavy. Like, I'm not doing that.
fair enough, I guess. But we saw the end of his career, and like bad teams just passing on him because of kind of that level of selfishness, if nothing else, and the kind of attitude problems, and thinking that he was more of a star than. I mean, and Allen Iverson was fucking amazing, and like the cult following is very deserved and extremely influential. But I think he was a pretty horrible teammate, and yeah, I don't know. He had a 38% usage rating one year, which is like insane. I think probably top five highest. ever. And yeah, I don't know what more needs to be said. I mean, he carried a team to the finals, but ultimately it was also the demise that, like, I don't know how good that Sixers team was, in fairness. I know they had like Mutombo.
Yeah, apparently not great. Apparently, like Iverson definitely carried them big time. He was awesome, but
Right.
I think they also got curb stomped in the finals when they got there. You know, it might have been kind of like a
I think the finals.
Miami Heat Cinderella story kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the Lakers did curb stomp them in, I think, the 2001 finals. But yeah, I don't know. And on all the Bleacher Report worst teammate list that I researched with, he was definitely always in the top 3. So
Oh hell yeah!
on an aside, I kind of want to like see if Sean Mack can call in and judge
Oh my god.
our list.
Let's finish our list and then we'll just give him like a random phone call and just put him up to the mic.
Should I shoot him a text real quick and be like,
Shoot him a text now. Shoot him a text now, and I'll start getting into like my
yes.
next guy. And then yeah, if we can just hop him on just to give a quick verdict, that'd be perfect. Okay, well I'm gonna go with and this is really someone I saw in a lot of people's lists, but I think I can make a case for him. I'm gonna go with Rudy Gobert. It's I feel like a lot of it is like very alleged, but it kind of feels like everyone just hates him wherever he goes. Like they kind of kicked him out the door in Utah. Like Donovan Mitchell absolutely hated Rudy Gobert. That was like a really strange relationship. And I felt like a lot of like the Jazz locker room had kind of turned on Gobert by the time he left. And then even coming to like the Timberwolves, it felt like a lot of people kind of got rubbed the wrong way by Gobert, including like slow mo. There was like that classic interaction where they were like arguing on the bench and almost got in a brawl.
Yeah.
It kind of just seems like wherever Gobert goes, like people just fucking hate him. I don't really know why, but they can't stand him. And maybe part of it also might be just like playing with him. They might just like not like playing with this like big man who just has like no finesse in the paint, can't hit free throws, pretty much like does nothing on offense but clog the paint. I think that probably is also why people end up getting fed up with him, even though he's a good player.
Yeah, no, that's and yeah, I kind of get the vibe that his teammates probably do hate him behind his back. And I imagine it is partly because of how he plays, but I think it's like, I think he must just have a big head and maybe think he's a bit more important, or I don't know, a bit more of a star than he
Yeah.
is when you have like no finesse. And like, yeah, no, I think that's a fair pick. And definitely the French national team in FIBA, he had some incredible moments. Obviously, last year they were, or the last FIBA World Cup, they were like silver medalists, and Gobert was pretty awesome. But like this year, they were not so awesome. And I'm sure his French teammates love him. But yeah, as far as Utah and even the Timberwolves, I'm sure there's like some tension there for sure.
Yeah, and there was also like the classic, and I don't blame him for this when like the league essentially got shut down for COVID,
Oh yeah.
because like Donovan Mitchell and Gobert got it, and like Gobert had and like touched all the microphones kind of as a joke, and then COVID ended up being like really serious, and like Mitchell got it, like tons of people in the league got it, and essentially like the whole league was shut down for months, and I feel like a lot of people just like kind of like blamed Gobert, totally not his fault, but it was just such a bad look. I feel like a lot of people started hating him after that also.
Yeah, not his fault for sure, but like, and kind of like a hindsight moment, like nobody knew what COVID really was. But
Hmm.
like the way he just like downplayed it so hard and started touching all the mics as a joke when like he was positive for COVID, like
Yeah, it
hindsight,
just sucks. It
such a
sucks.
douchey moment. Like, and I think he's probably not super likable. Like, I don't know what it is. Cause like I don't know. He doesn't seem to get like tons of love from his teammates, but
Yeah, maybe he's French. Maybe they just don't like French people.
yeah, French people don't have like a reputation for being the kindest. It's
Could
true.
be it. Could be it.
Insane because in FIBA he can just like sit in the paint. There's no defensive violation.
Oh yeah,
He can just chill there
very
forever.
very tailored for his game. Yeah, and
I
he can
know,
also just like you can swat shots after hit the rim. Also, he could literally just sit there and just like
right?
smack things off the rim all day.
He's a force in FIBA for sure, even though disappointing for the French. And I don't think he played super well, but anywho, yeah, great pick. Great pick, great pick. So I have Gilbert, Kyrie. You have Harden, Gobert, and
Well, you're missing one for
I
both
have
of us
AI.
because you also have AI. I also have Delonte West.
Right, right, right. Okay.
So
Some
we both have three. We both have two more picks to make.
right. Okay, I'm feeling good right now. My next pick is Russell Westbrook.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
surprised made it this far. Granted, he's somewhat again like similar to the Kyrie situation. His teammates all seem to love him.
Hmm.
I think his energy is always on like 100%. He's an extremely energetic and he gives it his all and like
Yeah, no, what? But like Westbrook's an insane pick here. Yeah, he's someone who kind of like I kind of just like missed on him because I don't know, my brain just like blanked on him and I was like looking for people who were like getting in fights or like people just like legitimately hated their guts. But like Westbrook is like everyone talks about like he's like the fucking worst guy to play with. This
yeah.
is an awesome pick. Keep going off.
Yeah, his let's see what I have in my notes here. Yeah, a career usage of 33%, which is like extremely high and considering those early teams where he played with stars. His he has the highest season usage ever at like 42%. That was his
Oh,
MVP.
so gross.
And yeah, no, he's a very confident, maybe cocky individual who to his credit found a decent situation with the Clippers. But up until then, it seemed like his self-awareness was just non-existent, putting up shots on like terrible efficiency. And yeah, just throughout his career, just not being a great teammate. I think his like assist to turnover ratio for his entire career is like 2. So for pretty consistently for every 2 assists, he's gonna have 1 turnover. And he's just that kind of player that he's not getting assists by swinging the ball or kind of just letting a teammate take over a possession. He's like really fiending and looking to get that assist. It's very evident in the way he plays. So he's electric. I don't hate Westbrook as a player even, but I would not want to be his teammate, and I wouldn't want him on the team I'm rooting for either. But yeah, no, my team is stacked right now.
Yeah, totally. He's just the ultimate ball hog. And like there's
Yeah.
nothing like nobody hates more than just like playing with someone who will not pass the ball. Unless like because pretty much the only situation he'd pass the ball would be like where he feels like he's just like a stat pattern. He's like, I'm only passing it like if I think I'm like guaranteeing myself an assist. Like if that's not happening, like I'm just taking it every time.
The
So
all
yeah, no, those are the worst people to play with. It doesn't matter if you're like at LA Fitness, like running threes on the basketball court, or if you're in the NBA. Like if you're playing with somebody who refuses to pass it, that just sucks. They're just the worst to play with.
for sure. Yeah. And there's plenty at LA Fitness, I can tell you that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like and I keep alluding to FIBA. We're gonna obviously do the FIBA talk, but like it's kind of I feel like a very NBA thing to have one extremely dominant player that the whole team plays through. And like there's not really that cohesive group mentality of like everyone passing. Um and like I mean you think about Kobe and Westbrook and Jordan, like these guys are just so ball dominant that it's like I don't know, the NBA forever has kind of been if you have the best player, then you probably have the better team. But it's like in those rare situations where the team plays like super well together, or they kind of have this awareness of like we're a team and everyone can play a role. I think that's where like the best basketball is played. And that's what was so cool about the Spurs and some other teams that are able to achieve that. But it's not achievable with a guy like Russell Westbrook. So
Hmm.
it just does not compute. I think. Same with Harden, same with AI, same with maybe even Kobe. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and I also feel like there's kind of like levels to it when it comes to like the like star takeover kind of team. Because like I feel like with guys like Kobe and Jordan, they also brought like super hard in the defensive end. So there were teams where like they could take over and ball hog on offense all day. Then they would also like shut people down on defense, and the defense of the team would be super good, and they would win these games like 85 to 75. Then with Westbrook, it's like not only is he like chucking shots all day on offense, but he's also not really playing defense. He's a little bit of a revolving door, and it's like the same thing with Harden. So it's like, yeah, they're scoring a ton, but they're also like not really doing anything on defense. They're certainly not elevating their teammates on that end either. And I just think it makes it a lot harder to win a chip.
Yeah, Jordan also probably shouldn't kind of be in that. I don't know. The way like he played awesome, always great role players on those Bulls teams that.
For sure, for sure.
And same with Kobe to an extent. Like, Powell was a very clear number two. Like, obviously those OKC teams where Westbrook was the MVP. Like, those were garbage teams, but like even so, it was like to such an extreme the way he was ball dominant and kind of ball hogging that you know. But hey, average is triple double.
Average a triple double. Yep.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, no, sure. He did that.
Probably had
All
like
right.
35 wins that season or something.
Yeah, I think they're probably around like 40 or something like that. I don't they were like AC or didn't make playoffs, but yeah, no, they were not very good. Cool. I'm gonna go with another shot chucker for my pick. Probably like a lower usage shot chucker, but still chucked way more shots than he ever should have.
I think I know.
And somehow this guy got a 4-year, $80 million contract with Houston. But I'm gonna go with Dylan Brooks. The Grizzlies hated him by the end of his contract. They like literally kicked him out of that organization. I believe the quote was that they would not bring him back under any circumstances. Like he could have asked for a vet minimum and they still would have said, no, we don't want you on our team. He was just this like huge shot checker. He would take all the shots away from Jaw and super inefficient, huge agitator. Like he would, and like in a bad way to where I feel like he would usually like talk shit, but wasn't really like good enough to back it up to where he would just get the other team hyped to just go against him and bully him. And he would almost like motivate the other team, just like kick their ass even more. And he was just like a super negative player. In the playoffs, he kicked LeBron in the groin and got like suspended from that game and got the Lakers like tons of momentum. He was like a total mess, and he was always like trying to be, that like agitator, kind of like a Ron Artest kind of guy, like this just like bruiser defensive guy, but they're just never good enough to actually like back it up and just talk shit and get embarrassed. Um, yeah, and the Grizzlies just end up hating him at the end and just let him walk.
Yeah, I wonder if his teammates hated him as much as I think that maybe the coaching staff or the management, but that is a solid pick. But I feel like it's not super timely with how he just balled out for Canada in the bronze medal game.
We will talk about that, which is insane that
Yeah,
happened.
he was awesome all tournament, to be honest.
Such an insane headline, like, and we'll talk about it later.
We'll
but like,
talk about it.
when I read that it's like Dylan Brooks drops 39 points to win Canada the bronze medal over Team USA, I was like, what the fuck? Like this is officially like very embarrassing.
Hey, I want to see what his career 3-point percentage is. Because a little foreshadowing, like 34%. Hey, that's not terrible for a shot chucker.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's not ideal, but yeah, not terrible. But yeah, it's been worse though. Like it was like 32 last season, 30 the season before. So like definitely, below average, for what you want. For someone taking like 6 threes a game, like that does not cut it.
Yeah. No, great pick, I will say. That after this FIBA World Cup, I'm a little bit hotter on him and kind of thinking that we'll get more into it later. Okay, we'll have a bit of Dylan Brooks talk, but I still think it's a very good pick, and yeah, he's just the classic like role player that talks too much shit, and then the star just like
and goes totally. Yeah, not only like role player talks so much shit, but just like role player just takes too many shots. It's like you're just not that guy. Like if you're a role player, you have to know your role. If you don't know your role, then you suck. And like that's why the Grizzlies had to get rid of him.
Yeah. Well.
All right, cool. You got one more pick. I got one more pick. Who you got?
All righty. I'm gonna go with Adam Morrison.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. According, huh?
Who is he drafted over? Because he was drafted like second overall, I think.
So many
like
people. Let's see.
Was he like the same draft as was that the same draft as Wade? Did I make that up?
No, I think a different one. He was 2006. Um, so let's see.
2006 NBA draft.
Great podcast content. So he was picked
Okay,
third.
yeah. Oh, this draft sucked. Oh my
Yeah, not a great draft, but picked over the likes of
god.
Brandon Roy, I guess, JJ Redick,
Picked over Randy Foy, notably.
Andy Foy, yes, Rudy Gay.
Uh, Thabo Cephalosha.
Wow, Rondo
That
21st, Kyle Lowry 24th. That's kind of interesting.
yeah, this draft is awful. Though I kind of just want to run through the top 10 just for people listening. This draft is Andrea Bargnani 1, LaMarcus Aldridge 2, good pick. And it goes Adam Morrison, Tyrus Thomas, Sheldon Williams. I don't even know who these guys are. Brandon Roy, good. Randy Foy, meme. Rudy Gay, pretty good. Patrick O'Brien and Mohamed Sane.
That one kind of
That's the
rings.
top 10. I have no idea who that is.
I probably no, I might be confusing with a soccer player.
He
JJ
notably
Redick at
averaged
11 though.
JJ Redick at 11. That is true. Yeah, Mohamed Sane averaged 2.2 points per game and played for 5 years technically. That's
Okay,
not
yeah,
terrible. But
I'm
like, yeah, no.
confusing, I think.
All right, anyway, that's the draft. That draft sucks. Adam Morris is in it. Why is he also a shitty teammate along with being a shitty NBA player?
So Jared Dudley is quoted as saying he never took showers. He did chewing tobacco. He did chewing tobacco that he spit all the time. And he wore the same three polos the whole year. And allegedly Joe
So he
Wallace.
just sucks because he's gross.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
just fucking gross.
Because he wasn't, I don't think he was a terrible player. I mean, he was a huge bust in that regard, but he was a great college player, obviously, which is why he was picked third.
Yeah.
I think a disappointing NBA career, but and then yeah, Gerald Wallace had to force him to take a shower one time. Imagine that. Imagine forcing a grown man to take a shower. He said he should be ashamed of himself. Or I think this might be a Jared Dudley quote. Whatever. It's all alleged. But yeah, I have a
I love the alleged stuff. That's my favorite. Wow, that's
that's why he's my
amazing.
number 5. Apparently he just was gross. And if you see a picture of the guy, again, no offense, but doesn't I don't know. He's got definitely a bit of a look to him that
Yeah.
makes me very much believe that he's very unkempt.
Yeah, he definitely looks a little slimy. Looks a little bit greasy.
Like pull up a
Um yeah, and like yeah, no, I'm looking at this. The facial hair was always not good also. Just
yeah.
like this like very like faint pedo mustache for most of the time. At one point it was a gross goatee, which is like it's horrific. It is like very questionable.
He looks a lot like this serial killer named the Night Stalker. This is Adam Morrison. You can't really see it.
Yeah, you might be a little bit closer. You know, that's fine. Maybe we'll put in the thumbnail or something.
Yeah. No.
I feel like he has to go in it just if you can like get an idea of what he looks like.
There's some
You know,
serial killer called the Night Stalker that he looks a lot alike. They
oh
like
hell yeah. Put the Night Stalker in it then. Just put the serial killer as the thumb tag.
might do
Maybe
it.
it is him. I feel like he could be.
Yeah, he could be. But they identified the other guy who also apparently smelled awful. But a whole side. I saw a documentary.
Fantastic. All right, awesome pick.
We have 4 minutes left. Do you think you can
Yeah, I can squeeze in my last pick and then we can, part two it, which might give us more time to get Sean on the phone for part two. At
sounds
least
good.
for the
He has not
judging.
messaged back, but maybe I'll cold call him.
Yeah, we'll do our best. If not, that's fine. We can just have people vote on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah. Or maybe he'll
I'm
text
gonna
back at the end of
yeah.
it.
I was part of me like for a second debated doing one more net and doing Ben Simmons because he has not played in ages. Feels like a low blow though. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go with Draymond Green for, punching Jordan Poole in the face. I thought that was pretty shitty. And
Yeah.
pretty much like melted down that team for the year. Like the team sucks. Poole and Draymond never talked about that. Like Poole like clearly never got over it. Like there was always bad blood between them after that. I think it kind of worked out for Draymond because it felt like the Warriors had decided to pay Poole and thus not pay Draymond to let Draymond walk. And then he punched Poole in the face, and Poole wasn't as good because I think it kind of fucked up team chemistry. And then the Warriors front office was like, all right, like I guess we're gonna trade Poole and pay Draymond now. So somehow it worked out for him, but super shitty move and like literally like ruined their entire season. And he's also just been like a piece of shit. Like so, not only is like because like some of his teammates do like him. I think Clay and Steph probably like him or at least like playing with him. but he's just known to be like a total piece of shit.
Con just texted back. That's such a funny point that punch ended up actually working out.
Yeah,
Exactly
terrible. Because he totally did deserve that to work in his favor. Like that kind of should have been the nail in the coffin to be like, this is why we're doing pool and not you.
I remember on Twitter when that video dropped how so many people felt validated in like their hatred for Draymond. I personally did because it was such a dick fucking move.
So shitty. And like Pool's like this young guy. He's like what,
Yeah,
25?
younger, I think.
Yes, it's like
It was
it
such
feels
a
like as the veteran. Yeah, like as a veteran, you're supposed to be like the mentor for a player like this. Help him out. Be happy for him that he got this big contract. Instead, Draymond, they just fucking villainized Poole in his own head because they essentially decided to pay Poole and not him.
yeah, no, it made him seem like such a bully, and like I don't like Draymond Green. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share the same sentiment.
He's I mean, on the court, he seems like an excellent teammate to have because of how loud and aggressive and like that bully mentality. I think it really does get into opponents' heads, and he can back it up with being such an excellent defender. But like, I don't know, just the way he plays, it feels like he doesn't deserve some of the accolades and respect that he's gotten. Like, he just seems to like be very lucky to play with the likes of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And then he's like, him kicking people in the balls like on purpose is like such a big
Yeah, they punted Steven Adams in the gonads.
twice. And then yeah, sucker punching a teammate like that. We have less than a minute left, so we'll be
Yeah,
back.
let's
Call Sean
yeah.
Mack. He says he's willing to.
Oh, let's go. Perfect. Yeah, we'll do that. And we run through some honorable mentions too, and maybe even Sean will have a couple ones you can throw off the dome.
Sounds awesome. All right. Be
Cool.
right back.
I'm in.
Put on a shirt, you whore.
I just got back from a run. I'm fucking disgusting. I'm gonna really. I've got a towel. You're gonna have to deal with it.
Mm.
All right,
Okay.
Sean.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more of a PG-13 episode.
The fans love it. I mean, you know that you bring in some of our best viewership. So anytime we can get you on the show, we're happy. By the way, I'm already recording. So
I understand.
Yeah, we are live and in HD right now.
That's good with me. I know where I stand.
So
okay, perfect.
Harry and I just did a all-time like bad teammates draft. Like, we each picked 5 guys that you just would not want to be teammates with. And we knew it was only fitting for you to be the judge.
Of course.
So I don't know, Harry, do you want to run through your team first and then I run through mine? We were like, should we do it anonymously? But we kind of want to give like a little description of why each of us picked the guy. Because, there's a bit of lore behind each guy. Some of it.
You need the lore.
Yeah. Yeah. And some are deeper cuts, so you never know. Yeah, I'll start off. So
there's one that I'm hoping you guys included. There's one guy who's kind of
I
like,
don't know them.
if he's not included, like, you didn't do it right. But
Okay. Well, that means they're probably a golden snitch. So if one of us has the golden snitch, that could be the deciding factor.
That could be a Luke, Richard, and
That's what I was gonna
situation
say.
all over again. But let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't believe I forgot about him. That was such a.
I should just put him on this list anyway. Just
Hey,
if I knew Sean was judging.
Yeah, that's enough out of you.
Okay. I'm gonna get all right. So my first pick was Delonte West for fucking LeBron's mom.
Allegedly.
I factually.
All right. It's a fair start.
Yep. All right.
Go ahead.
Pick 2 was James Harden for getting fat and then getting himself traded from pretty much every team he's been a part of.
Generally being a jackass, yes. Good call.
Yep. Then pick 3 was Rudy Gobert for starting the coronavirus pandemic.
Right.
And then Dylan Brooks, who, according to the Grizzlies, would not be brought back under any circumstances, and is just an overall shot checker and shitty teammate.
Yep. Although he owns United States now, he's the president of the
United States. Yeah, great teammate for Team Canada, just not for the Grizzlies
or the NBA.
And then finally Draymond Green for punching Jordan Poole in the face and then getting him traded.
It's a good one. Yeah, no, that's standard.
All right, yep, that's my team.
All
All right,
right.
so to just so you know, Harry, you did not get the player that
Damn
I was
it.
hoping for. So just know
All
that.
right.
But go
Pressure's
ahead,
onto
Harry.
you now, Paul.
I have him. All right. My first overall pick was Gilbert Arenas.
Great
Pulled the
choice.
gun on his teammate, pooped in Andre Bloch's shoe.
I forgot about that. That is some deep cut lore right there.
Oh my God.
Second overall pick, who I think is who you're alluding to, Kyrie Irving.
No, but
Oh.
No, that's too
obviously,
easy. That's low hanging
but
fruit.
yeah,
No.
but a great choice nonetheless.
Uh,
Total asshole.
We know all the lore there. Three, I picked Russell Westbrook for just being an extremely ball dominant kind of shot chucker.
Okay.
I know his teammates love him, but Fourth, I went AI for similar reasons. And then my fifth pick to round it out was Adam Morrison.
Bro,
because according to former teammate Jared Dudley, he never took showers. He did chewing tobacco.
That is more accurate.
And basically wore 3 shirts the whole year. And apparently Gerald Wallace even had to force him to take a shower one time.
Yeah, no, that is accurate. So neither of you got the player that I was hoping for.
Who's the player?
Yeah. What's the big
I'm
reveal?
surprised that neither of you did. A little bit before, our time, but Latrell Sprewell, who punched his coach in the face and was suspended for the entire season because of it. The suspension did get some of the games ended up getting taken away because of the players' union, but he single-handedly derailed the Warriors for about 10 years because of that. So I was hoping for Latrell, didn't get it. That's fine. An honorable mention could also be Paul George, who cheated on Doc Rivers' daughter with a stripper.
That's valid, yeah.
For him. So there's that too.
Damn, you've got a whole team on your own.
I know. Does the coach debauchery count though?
No, I think so, because that's part of the team. Like your coach is like a part of that. So it's if you're punching your coach in the face, like that's a fucking terrible teammate. It's setting the example as the star player on your team. Like, hey guys, you guys don't really agree with coach not getting enough playing time, and just punch him in the face. Maybe he'll put you in. Like, no, he's a piece of shit. Gilbert Arenas is another pretty good one that I think is both obvious and not obvious, because everyone knows the gun stuff. Not a lot of people know about the poop and the shoe stuff. You guys both picked some pretty obvious choice, like Draymond Green for you, Harry. Obviously Kyrie for Dre. Those are standard. If you didn't get him, we're not making the list correctly type thing. Ben Simmons could also be on there as well for generally being a pussy.
Yeah, he had an honorable mention at one point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I could. The Morris twins definitely should be in on there for just constantly detracting from basketball.
Yeah, back when they're on the Suns, they would just commit crimes together.
yeah, just fun for funsies. Yeah, those guys are total assholes.
Yeah, they're good. I also thought I also had DeMarcus Cousins on my long list.
Yeah,
being a total just douche and just very angry individual. I imagine he was just incredibly hard to work with.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys who did bad things off the court that doesn't necessarily make them a bad teammate, because they just did they made really poor choices. Somebody like Vin Baker, who was an all-star in the 90s. He was on 4 straight all-star teams, but was playing drunk and high constantly. And it ended up Sean Kemp, another one too, where Sean Kemp became an alcoholic. Really sad. It just sucks. But he wasn't necessarily a bad teammate.
Apparently, Meta World Peace was hitting the Henny at halftime.
Yeah, another one where it's it's more just sad than it is deliberately being a jackass. Something like Draymond punching a dude, your teammate in the face. There's no excuse for that.
Who was the worst teammate? Ron Artest or Meta World Peace?
Meta World Peace, probably.
Which was the worst version? Which was Malice at the Palace, though, because that was probably Ron Artest.
Malice in the Palace was that was Ron Artest. That was more I don't want to say it was justified, but you can kind of it's okay, someone threw a cup at his face. That's why it started, was people were throwing shit at him, and he was getting into it with other players on the Pistons previous to that. But once the fan threw the thing at his face, that's when he charged the stands. Meta World Peace, after changing his name to Meta World Peace, gave James Harden a concussion.
Oh yeah,
for no
classic,
reason.
classic.
So it's like there was no excuse for that. So for me, it's like I think you can chalk up some of the stuff that Ron Artest did to being young and a kid and like being immature. As a 30-plus-year-old NBA veteran who's won a championship, elbowing players in the head because you're basically pissed. Like, what are we doing?
At least it wasn't his own teammate, though. You know what I mean? That's not like not
That's true.
bad.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you think Meta World Peace is worse than Ron Artest?
Yeah. And I think all time, I'd have to really think about it because the other thing you have to consider too is like there's guys like Shaq who are just like total divas the whole time.
Totally, yeah.
So like there would be guys like him. I would honestly put Michael Jordan in that list. Like I really am not a Michael Jordan guy at all. Like I strongly dislike him, and there's so many stories of how he was just a prick to work with. And like love him or hate him, LeBron, when it comes to that part of the game, is an infinitely better player than Jordan was. And I will stand by that for the rest of my life. That's why LeBron is he's my GOAT, because he embodied everything about being a basketball player, including the leadership.
Yeah, it's something I wrangled with. I was like, do I include guys like Shaq, Kobe Jordan on this list? Kobe's a total asshole.
I think you can. Like, I really do. I think like it's not as egregious. Although I've even heard stories of Jordan like punching teammates and stuff too. So like,
Probably.
I think
But like,
Jordan...
do the championships nullify it though? Like
That's
if you're like a huge douche, but you also like win your teammates championships, like that kind of makes you a good teammate then because you're carrying them to championships. So like that was kind of the internal struggle that I had.
Yeah, I guess then that comes down to more of like who's the shittier overall person, and like if we're looking at it fully about that, then you'd also have to like take into consideration players who did like horrible stuff off the court too. But yeah, it's a hard debate. I think like obvious ones for sure are like Kyrie, who's just like completely distracting his team and like costing them, playoff games, regular season standings, because he's doing his own nonsense off the court. Draymond, like basically, kicking Draymond or Jordan Poole out of Golden State. Like,
yeah, and he also
terrible.
got and he got suspended in the finals, and that helped like the Cavs come back down 3-1. The Poole one was insane, like because Paul and I were saying that essentially, not only did he punch Poole in the face, but like in doing so, he essentially got the Warriors to trade Poole and give him the contract extension. So like, it kind of worked out in his favor somehow by assaulting Jordan Poole in practice.
Yeah, Jordan Poole just got screwed because he was only a part of one of those 4 championships that the Warriors have. So it's like he kind of like wins that because of the seniority thing. I think that the Warriors are probably pretty pissed about it overall if I were them, because like, they probably did want to keep Jordan Poole and like long term make it work, but optically like just wasn't it. Like he had a shitty season. He played terribly in the playoffs. If they gave him the contract and not Draymond Green, like it would have been a disaster. Or if they kept him, I should say.
All right. Do you want us to run back through our list real quick and then you pick a winner?
Oh yeah, we still need a winner. Oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
All right. So I'll go first. Just to recap: Gilbert Arenas, Kyrie, Westbrook, Allen Iverson, Adam Morrison.
Got it.
Yeah, and then my list is Delonte West, James Harden, Rudy Gobert, Dylan Brooks, Draymond Green.
Yeah, this is a hard one because I have to say, I think in terms of like being bad teammates, like I think Harry picked the worst teammates, but your like the people that you picked, Paul, like your reasoning is hilarious to me. Like between Gilbert Arenas and Adam Morrison alone, like that's fucking hilarious. Whereas Harry, like objectively, Rudy Gobert doing that, like permanently fractured his relationship with Donovan Mitchell. Draymond Green is an obvious one. Dylan Brooks is an obvious one. I don't know.
Take your pick. We won't be mad. Objectively, just pick your favorite.
I have to go with the tie on this one because I like you
No.
win from an objective. No,
Centrist, not allowed.
I was not
Pick
a
one.
centrist last time.
Flip a coin, whatever.
I gave you the win last time, Harry, but I'm being honest here. It's hard because I like Dre's meme picks more, but your list is more objectively like, I think you pick, like, if I had to play for either one of those teams and like those were the guys on the team, I'd rather play for Paul's team, but I'd also have to be in a locker room where I could get poop in my shoes, and sitting next to Adam Morrison would just be a general punishment. Like,
yeah, it's hard. Oh my god, my ring light just went out. All right, Dave. My lighting sucks now.
I don't want to. It kind of sounds like he's more leaning. I mean,
it could be you though. Pick one. You have to pick one. You're allowed to pick based
Harry,
off meme value.
Your team has the worst teammates. Like your team has like I would rather play for Paul's team than yours, but good God, I would wear a gas mask in Paul's locker room.
Yeah, and check your shoes for sure. Yeah, I kind of sounded like, you were saying, Harry, overall worst teammate. So,
but when it comes to these kind of drafts, 2-0 so far, I guess. But like, I'm totally cool with like the meme picks winning. Like, if you just thought like Adam Morrison was so shitty, but like that alone could win the draft, like I would have been fine with that. That would have been fine.
Forgot about that. That came out of fucking nowhere, dude. I'm like Gilbert Arenas, like Kyrie, like these are like standard, but Jesus Christ, Adam Morrison, fucker played like 2 seasons, one champion, or I think he played 3 because he got drafted by like the Bobcats, played 2 seasons with the Lakers and won championships as like a complete bench rider on both, and then just fucked off into oblivion. Like no one knows where he is now.
Yeah, dead or
he could be dead. Like we don't know.
All right. Well, another disappointing draft.
Come on.
Well, thanks for joining us on such short notice, Sean.
Of course, I'm always appreciate being asked on. I love being here. I love the fans, of course, and appreciate it as always.
And I'm sure you'll be back soon enough. I think anytime we do any sort of drafting competition, we'll make sure to give you a call or just have you stand in the whole time.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in. Let me know. Yeah. I'm in. I'll give you a bonus point though, Dre, for the Marcus Morris poster while we're talking about bad teammates.
Oh yeah.
In the background.
Oh my God.
That counts for something because clearly you were changed your scenery for this episode, and
yes,
it was poignant.
I turned my desk because my room tends to be messy, and the other shot was a bit too telling.
No, but it's got some some Celtics classics behind you. Nice Avery Bradley. That guy's also kind of a loser too. Low key a domestic violence abuser, but that's neither here nor there.
Gave the Celtics a couple of good seasons though. So
he did. Yeah, good all defensive player. Yeah, nice.
All right. As we end this segment, we remind our viewers that these are all alleged, in our opinion. Cannot sue us. Anyway, thank you, Sean Mack. We are going to finish the podcast with some FIBA talk. Just kind
awesome.
of
Cool.
All right. Thanks again, Sean.
God bless.
Later, guys.
All right. Let's go FIBA.
What a treat.
Yeah. Special thank you again, Sean, for like hopping on so short notice. And of course, for like, picking my team again to be the victor. 2-0 now. So we'll have to keep a season-long tally for this. Maybe we'll have to make some kind of bet. Like, maybe like, I don't know what it'll be yet. Maybe like loser of the draft challenge has to do something.
Starting now, though.
No.
All right.
No, just kidding. Yeah. These are warm-ups. Maybe like the start of the season. That's when we'll do it. Or maybe like an off-season challenge, because we'll probably do less of these random drafts when like the season actually starts. Anyway, we'll figure that out though. We'll let y'all know. We'll have something figured out for that when we do our next draft. Let's talk FIBA transition.
Let's do it. I mean, I don't know where to start. We just said, hey, we're going to talk FIBA, and I guess it's going to mainly be revolving around Team USA, but I think
let's get
some other takeaways on other teams.
Yeah, let's give some love to like the champs. So shout out Germany, big win for them. Schroeder was awesome. Our guy Daniel, this was huge for like ex-Celtics players because Schroeder and Tice balled out, kind of avenged the last Team USA. Those all Celtics players that lost. For sure. So this is huge. Love to see it. They were awesome.
And Franz, like Schroeder was the leader of that team, obviously, and probably was the player that played the best, and he came up super clutch in those last two games after kind of a stinker against, I think, Lithuania.
Yeah, like a crazy stinker. I forget what he shot, but it was something insane.
But yeah, like 4 of 20 something. But yeah, man, Franz, I like, is this guy like a future superstar? I think he looks like he's going to be an all-star in the future. 21 years old, playing the way he's playing, like maybe he should have been a bit higher on our rankings for the 2021 draft. Like the guy can do it all, and he's like such a smart player. And I don't know, man, Franz Wagner, I think he's kind of convinced me that he does have more potential than I gave him credit for in the past, and that he has that like all-star potential. He does. Like, so he's a great shooter, great athlete. He's like 6'10" for Christ's sake, and he just, again, really smart player. Like he just knows how to work like the pick and roll, how to defend. So yeah, shout out Germany.
Yeah, I feel like you've always been a big Franz guy. Obviously, you had him in fantasy
Yeah.
basketball last season. Um, I agree. I think he's amazing. I kind of expect him to take a bigger step last year, though. Like I was almost expecting him to be better last year, and he's got tons of opportunity on the Magic. I think it'll come. It's kind of just like when, but I agree. He's super talented, great size, great shot, really smart, and he can put the ball on the floor. Good floater, super smart player. So I like Franz a lot. Like Germany had a sneaky good team. And I also want to shout out Serbia. Serbia came in second, and Jokic like didn't even play. Like if Jokic plays, like is Serbia the best team? Then probably. So they also deserve a little bit of credit.
Bogdanovic was like actually insanely good the whole
Yeah,
time.
he was so sick.
Like, guy's an absolute star. And I just a little disclaimer, I did not watch any games. I watched a bit of the final, but I just watched the recaps. So like a little bit, I'm not gonna say I'm talking out of my ass, but like, I didn't watch the games. They were all at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We just watch the highlights and we talk about it. That's the way to do it.
but I loved watching the highlights, and I did follow like the scores of every game. And I found this podcast called Basket News, and it's like these 3 like Lithuanian journalists. They're like young too, probably our age.
Cool.
Just shout out to them. They like excellent breakdowns. Like they know basketball. They know like all the like Eurobasket players and all the American ones super well. They were like
That's
so,
impressive.
yeah, they're awesome. Basket News. And yeah, they're all Lithuanian, so they were hype when Lithuania beat USA. But yeah, we were saying Serbia. Yeah, they were freaking amazing. Bogdanovic averaged like 19, 4.5 assists. They have this their center Nikola Milutinov, which I probably pronounced wrong. This huge guy, also fucking amazing. And then Nikola Jovic, the youngster for the Miami, he also had a very solid tournament, averaging 10, 3, and 3. He's like 19 or 20 years old, 6'10". Like, just makes me think, man, Trailblazers, like that's a pretty good return there for a Damian Lillard. So shout out Serbia.
Yeah.
They came up just short, and they beat a very stacked Team Canada. So
Team Canada was awesome to watch too. Like from the start, I was kind of convinced that Team Canada was gonna be the team that wins it all.
yeah,
Because like not only were they so talented and the highlights were crazy, but they seemed like the pieces fit together really well. Like it kind of just felt like an actual basketball team. Just like you had like SGA, RJ Barrett was also playing like really well on that team, and obviously as we alluded to early in the podcast, like Dylan Brooks was like somehow also incredible for that team. They were really good, and their jerseys look incredible. The Team Canada jerseys are so clean; they look absolutely amazing.
what's insane too is they had never won a medal before.
Which is weird to think, because like we've had good players coming from Canada, and
Right? Hardly
what's
ever.
cool is
I
like
don't think they ever qualified for the Olympics, maybe once or twice, but like somehow just like this is really their first time being like such a powerhouse.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I guess it's only until recently that we started getting a lot of talent coming from Canada. But like Jamal Murray is also like technically Canadian and could play for that team, which would be pretty stacked. Like if they could get him to join the team in the future.
Andrew Wiggins too.
Yeah, Wiggins could also play for it. Yeah, no, Canada's got a lot of good talent. So I imagine they're probably gonna be a powerhouse for, the foreseeable future.
It seemed like shooting was a bit their demise. Like RJ Barrett, Brooks, I mean, ended up shooting pretty well, I think. But Dort as well, all amazing wing defenders, but like the shooting wasn't really there.
Yeah, which I think is tough against like the EuroLeague talent because some of those teams when they get hot from three, they're just like you saw it with Lithuania against Team USA. It's like when they're going from three, it's nonstop, and everyone can hit them.
Yeah, I feel like they shot like 40% or something across the whole tournament. Like they were insane.
Yeah,
Kind of just like a reminder of how global basketball is and how like the EuroLeague has such like talented players and just these guys that are like stars for their own franchises. And hearing the Basket News podcast guys talk about like some of the different players that I had never heard of. It's those guys are legends for their respective clubs in Europe, and like they're incredible basketball players. That yeah, I mean, could they make it in the NBA? Probably not, but like it's a different game in a lot of respects, and like they're excellent, and when they're playing super well, it's like I don't know. Lithuania is a country of 3 million people, for Christ's sake. Like we have
yeah, it would be
100 times more
like
people in the US. We have 300 something million. So
yeah, it'd be like one of like the smaller states in the USA.
yeah, they compared it to like I think the city of Chicago
Yeah,
has a
like
population
that.
of around 3 million. So
Yeah, and it's also cool to see. Like, it also just feels like we're we're starting to see a lot more like NBA talent on a lot of these teams. Like for a while, it'd be like, oh, like that's cool. Like this player's playing on this team this year, and like this player's here. But now it felt like every time like I was tuning in to watch a game, I was like, oh, like this guy's playing for this country. Like that's kind of cool. I felt like every single team at least had like one or two NBA caliber guys, or not even caliber, just like straight guys who were playing in the NBA. And some of them was more. Like with Canada, yeah, it was like four or five. So I don't know. It feels like it's becoming a lot more spread out now. The talent.
for sure, yeah, it was cool seeing Karl Anthony Towns for the Dominican Republic, or
Yeah.
Luka Doncic, who I think pretty consistently plays for Slovenia, which is awesome.
Yep. Tremont Waters, also former Celtics player playing for Puerto Rico, averaged 20 points per game. I think he was like the top 10 in like points per game. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah, his handle is insane. That guy, I can't
Yeah. Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Like small, shifty, quick. Obviously, Rondé Hollis Jefferson playing for Jordan and looking like Kobe. He averaged 24 points per game.
I'd like to see him make a bit of an NBA comeback, but we'll see.
Yeah, because I remember when he was playing in the NBA, like the big issue with him was his jump shot was just beyond broken. Like it looked like he didn't know how to shoot a basketball. And I think it looked a lot better in the FIBA World Cup. It still looked a little bit weird, but I couldn't figure out if that was because there's an actual hitch or just because he's a lefty. And it always looks weird when lefties shoot a basketball. Couldn't really figure that out. But I would be interested to see him play in the league again.
Because yeah, ultimately he has to be a role player, so he has to be able to shoot well enough. He can defend extremely well, but it's like he's not going to be the primary ball handler like Jordan allowed him to be. So I'd love
Hmm.
to see it, but yeah, that the jump shot I think is still a big question mark.
Yeah, and it is interesting how that goes. And you kind of saw Team USA also. It's hard to have these guys who are in these expanded roles then take on a role player role. And we kind of saw it also like works vice versa, where it's like really hard for these guys who are playing consistently with the ball to then take on a role player role. Kind of like what we saw with like Brandon Ingram. Like it's really hard to do. Like some people just like need the volume in order to be consistent players.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was almost sort of the demise of the US. I mean, I think it was a few reasons. I think the continuity was probably the biggest reason. Like they just come out with a new roster like
Yeah.
every tournament, and like they just don't have the chance to like really know how to play well together or how to defend certain sets. Like I feel like there was a lot of issues with switching or how to guard certain pick and rolls, or just not knowing how to fully scout or like properly defend certain teams.
Hmm.
But then yeah, the other big issue was probably like the lack of role players or like great role players. Like Mikal Bridges was amazing. Josh Hart was like pretty amazing, but like Brandon Ingram, Jaren Jackson Jr., I felt like that definitely affected them. Even Jalen Brunson to an extent, like
Yeah, Ben Carroll wasn't great either. And like weirdly, it's like just like looking at the team too. I'm like, this is not that good. Like for what the USA is like capable of putting out there, like this is pretty shitty. Like it's kind of insane to think that. And I love Walker Kessler. I'm like the biggest Walker Kessler guy. I think he's like a future star. But he was like finished his rookie season and he was like good, but like he didn't even start for half of it. Like how is he on the Team USA roster? Like we seriously like couldn't get anybody better than him. Like he's on there. Bobby Portis is on there. Like what is happening here? And kind of like the top guys in minutes is Edwards awesome, like Bridges good, Austin Reeves. I like Austin Reeves, but like what is he doing here? How's he like our third best player? Halliburton Love, Brunson Love. Then there also just like wasn't a lot of like big man talent, I thought. Like between like Kessler, Jackson Jr., they pretty much had like Banchero playing at center also. It just felt like there wasn't a whole lot there. So I don't know. I didn't love the roster. I think just like overall this like was not a great team for USA.
yeah, definitely our B team, maybe our C team.
This is like the D team. This is like the F team.
Yeah. I mean, definitely some huge future stars, but yeah, no, for sure. Like you, and especially at the big man position, like you touched on. Obviously Jaren Jackson Jr. having an incredibly tough time rebounding, still the foul trouble.
2.9 rebounds per game for Jaren Jackson Jr., which is like an interesting talking point too, because he has always been like a very bad rebounder. And I think playing with the Grizzlies helps because Steven Adams can kind of like cover that weakness for him. But like in watching him here, like I think it was pretty clear that he's not cut out to be a full-time center. I think he probably has to play the power forward position.
Yeah, and I think a lot of between Lithuania and Germany, they 100% crashed the boards super hard, and a big part of their game plan was offensive rebounds.
Yeah. And
And
like Jaren, he's literally just like the worst rebounding big man like ever. It is actually I can't believe it. I don't know how he's so bad at it.
for sure,
It's
yeah.
insane.
And like the NBA play style is huge on those very switchable guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. And like I don't know, the European basketball, I guess, or the way it played out in the tournament, like that didn't really matter, and they kind of had their more old school fives kind of just crashing the board super hard. And like I don't know, it was interesting to see. And people were saying Walker Kessler probably should have gotten more time, and I kind of
Yeah.
agree with that. But
Yeah. I totally agree too. He only played 8 minutes a game, so he really didn't play. And he pretty much like didn't touch the floor like, when things actually like hit elimination time. Yeah, I think a lot of his stats were probably, from, blowout games or back when it was group play, that kind of stuff.
yeah, and what was I gonna say? Just that no, I forget what I was gonna say.
We could talk about Noah Lyles, who was the sprinter, the Olympian, who was kind of like roasting the NBA for like calling themselves world champions. Um, yeah, that was kind of funny. It kind of feels like he was right.
Yeah, in retrospect a bit. And I mean, like, he was right from the get-go, but like at the same time, it's just kind of a stupid argument because like being an
Yeah,
NBA is harder, and like nobody's sending their best to the FIBA. And like, yeah, just in general, like what constitutes like really a world champion? I feel like the Olympics, I guess, and that's
yeah, and he's an Olympian, so like that's kind of why he's saying that because he's like, oh, I go up against like the best talent like across the world. Granted, like the best basketball talent like does come to the NBA, like because it just pays the most, so it kind of is that world stage.
yeah.
That's why Jokic plays there. That's why Giannis plays there. That's why Luka plays there. Because they get more money. There's more talent there. So it makes sense. And maybe that's also like weirdly a part of it. It's like it kind of does become more of a, and I don't want to like make the argument for it being a world championship because I don't know if it is. Like, and we won't really say that, but it is more than just like the American players playing in the NBA. Like we do get the best talent coming over from overseas, so it does kind of become a conglomerate of like the best players in the world. So I don't know. It's a weird argument, but Team USA did kind of embarrass itself.
Yeah, I mean, some of the championship banners, I know the Celtics ones do say world champions, so
Fair.
it is a bit ironic, but it's also funny because like I feel like basketball is like the least of the culprits when it comes to claiming to be world champions. Like,
Oh yeah, like NFL is like the worst because it's like no one
right,
even fucking plays it.
like baseball, the World Series, like the most American sports that like not a lot of countries participate in, are the ones always being like world champions, world champions. That I feel like the NBA is pretty good about being NBA champion. Like
Mhm.
I don't really hear world champion being thrown around too much, but
Yeah, and it does feel like a lot more of like an international sport, and I think that's why. Like I feel like Adam Silver's like probably conscious of that. Like I'm sure they intentionally try to like not say like world champion, they try to say NBA champion. So like NBA is more of a global sport where I feel like I feel like the argument is almost like not as much for the NBA. I feel like
yeah,
it's easier to argue it for like baseball and NFL.
for sure, yeah. Insane how that like little comment definitely blew up, and it was kind of fun to see
Totally.
the NBA players being a bit butthurt, a bit defensive.
Oh yeah, like Drake was chiming in. It's like, all right, guys, like this is not that big of a deal.
Uh anyway,
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see like if in the future now if we'll see better players join like the World Cup or the Olympics to try to get USA back up to get them gold again. I think I saw a stat that like we haven't medaled or something since like 2014. Like not even like get gold. Like we haven't medaled in FIBA since
yeah, no,
2014. Like we've legitimately just like been bad in FIBA.
yeah, yeah. Last year they came in seventh, I think. They um
Yeah, we sucked.
a big part of it, yeah, is that we're not sending our best because a lot of FIBA affects qualifying for the Olympics. And it's kind of based on regions. So the USA just has like a pretty easy time qualifying for the Olympics, and that's when we send a lot of our better players.
hmm
So we're not competing with too much. It's like the Americas. So like the South American countries, none of them are very good. Canada hasn't been a very good basketball country in recent history. So each time we just qualify easily, and I think they just kind of don't care as much about the FIBA World Cup. But I don't know. I think we'll see a trend now with Canada being a way better team, and I think only two teams from the Americas qualify or something like that. That
hmm
America will have to take it more serious, or the United States will have to take it more seriously to qualify in the first place, and also just like constantly being embarrassed, like they have to send better players and just like keep
Yeah,
a core together. Like I want to see Tyrese and Anthony really lead the way for like years to come, and then just
yeah,
some of those guys.
yeah. And that's how it used to be. Like it used to be like we'd always see. I felt like Melo was in it every year. It'd be like Melo, LeBron, like D Wade, like they would all play in the Olympics, and the teams were always incredible. And it felt like the core was like pretty consistent, where it was always just like these like best of the best guys who were doing it. Whereas like now it feels like a little bit of like a revolving door, where it's kind of like a fun thing for people to do in like their like sophomore or like third year in the league. They do it once, they lose, and they're like, oh, we lost. Like that was kind of embarrassing. Like I'm never gonna do that again. And then like the cycle just like repeats. Then we get no consistency, and we don't really have any old players. It's all young players. Like if you look at it, like who's like of the best players on this team, like the oldest player is probably like Austin Reeves, which is like insane.
Not to cut you off, Harry, but we less than a minute.
Okay.
We're gonna stop part three at closing thoughts, and we'll be right back. All right. You were saying, which is I think an excellent point, that yeah, it's all young guys. Austin Reeves, 25 years old, being like the veteran of that team. Kind of cringe.
Yeah. Yeah, very very much so. Like I'd like to see some older guys, who've just been in the league a little bit longer. And who are like really in their primes. Like a lot of these guys are just like, you know, probably a little bit immature. They're young. They're still figuring out NBA systems. So it's like it's kind of a big ask then like send them overseas and ask them to learn that system. I don't know. It would be nice to see like just like some like the bigger NBA stars like actually like show up on this. Like if we get like Jason Tatum back on this, that'd be nice. Like I don't know, Anthony Davis. Like and Anthony Davis would have been huge for this team.
What's insane is that I think Tatum got hurt like at some point in the tournament in 2019, but that team was
hmm
like kind of stacked. It was weird though. It was like Brooke Lopez was their center,
hmm
Tatum, I think Brown, Kemba Walker. It was basically the Celtics.
Yeah, that was strange. And
That
what's
was
strange is like
crazy.
because it was the Celtics, like it feels like they should have had good chemistry. But the Celtics all have also like historically just like struggled with team chemistry. So
Right.
maybe that's also always a bit of a struggle. I don't know. Like give me like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Like that would be cool. Like that team would be so hard to beat. Like give me those guys.
All that being said, though, like the Team USA was by far the most talented team. Pretty strong favorites. I mean, I think people
For
were
sure.
saying, like, this team can be beat. Like, there were just a lot of great teams. Like early on, I think people were looking at Canada. France was probably at the top of a lot of power rankings, but they definitely shit the bed and had a tough group. To be fair to them.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's kind of a different beast. We're looking at a tournament where it's not like the NBA playoffs where more often than not the better team is going to win because it's a 7 game series. Like with this, like you're just playing one game, and like yeah, it's like I think it was still double elimination essentially. But you only get to play each team like once as you're going through the bracket. So like when Team USA gets to a team who do we ultimately lose to? Serbia,
Germany.
Germany. Sorry. Yeah, like when we lost to Germany is like if we played Germany in like a 7 game series, like Team USA like probably would end up winning that. But when it's just one game, it's like you're kind of at the mercy of the basketball gods and anything can happen.
The
So I
way
think like unless the team is like overwhelmingly more talented, it's like there's definitely the chance of getting knocked out early.
For sure, yeah. And I think the USA would especially benefit from that because like another big weakness of theirs is that everyone knows how their players play. But Team USA is not going to really have an in-depth scouting of like all of Lithuania's players. Like there's like a guy who plays on like a second division European team who's this like point guard who's a bit tall, but he's like an insane post-up player. And so he got Austin Reeves in the post a couple of times,
Hmm.
couple and ones. The guy, I forget his name, but he was sticking his tongue out. It kind of went viral.
Yep.
But yeah, the USA I think would benefit from having a longer series, obviously, because they could kind of learn a bit how teams play and kind of figure it out from there. But I'm happy it's not 7 game series. I love how it's set up. They have like a
Oh yeah,
group
it's great.
stage, and then they have a second group stage too, and the points carry over. So it's like, I think it's good. It really gets some of the better teams into the elimination round, and then the elimination round hits, and it's anyone's game.
Yep. Yeah. Well, overall, I thought it was cool, and as someone who lives in the USA, like yeah, it'd be nice if Team USA was winning this, but it's honestly become a lot more exciting now that Team USA isn't winning it every time.
Yeah.
Like back when they were winning every year, like I feel like nobody to watch because there's like a guarantee that Team USA was going to take it. And now it's almost gone the other way where it's like it's great, like it's probably in a good spot, but like it's crazy that like we haven't won FIBA in so long. But it does make it more exciting. It makes me more intrigued to tune into it because there is the chance of us losing, and it does feel like more of an achievement if you actually can win it. So yeah, and shout out Germany, congrats again for them taking it.
For sure. Yeah. Germany won this year. Spain had won in 2019 in China. Then the USA won 2014, 2010. Spain won 2006. Spain also just like such an amazing
Oh yeah, and like they had the Gasols for so long, so like that was incredible.
and like last year they didn't even have or in 2019 I don't think they had either the Gasols. There was like a weird thing where they had some like American player who's like not European whatsoever. They just like added to the team.
That's hilarious.
Even though he wasn't like a relevant NBA player, apparently he was like a really good EuroLeague player, and he just won it for Spain more or less. I mean, they're a
Hmm.
great team, but it was a bit of a controversy. Something Brown, I forget. But yeah, no. I mean not Eurobasket. FIBA World Cup was super fun to keep up with. It sucks that the past two times it's been in this year it was Philippines, Japan, Indonesia, China before, so it's like pretty hard to keep up with or watch the games live because they just are so early in the morning. I wonder where the next one is. Maybe it's been announced.
Probably, I feel like they always plan these things in advance.
Yeah, 2000. What's 3 plus 2027? And great podcast content.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Location Doha. Where's that?
I have no idea.
Qatar, yay.
Everything's in fucking Qatar now. Oh my god.
Those rich bastards, man. They're just buying out.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like so many like of the best soccer players are just getting signed to these ridiculous contracts in Saudi Arabia. It's insane. Like actual relevant, like it's like
Yeah,
if they
and
wanted
like
to make an NBA league, they would be like offering LeBron like hundreds of millions of dollars to play every year, and they would just ruin the NBA.
yeah, they're just like quadrupling their salary. I mean, like come play over here, and it is a shame because it's essentially taking like the best players in the world away from the best league in the world, to where they're just like essentially just like dunking on randoms in Saudi Arabia, but like there's offering them so much money that's hard for them to refuse.
We could go on a whole tangent, but yeah, these like
Yeah, and you saw how it would live too with golf. Like they were taking like tons of the best golf players in the world, and they were going over there to play, just because they were making so much more guaranteed money. And then like the leagues had to merge, like PGA and Live merged into one, and I think like Live got like a legitimate amount of stake in the PGA from it. So I don't know, they kind of finessed. It is dangerous. It would be a big problem if they tried to rival the NBA like that.
because yeah, I mean these countries have made fortunes off oil, and like I don't know, oil is not they don't have an unlimited supply, so I think they're starting to kind of, I guess, invest in other things.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Anyway,
anyway,
we'll worry about this if it actually happens. We'll have a separate episode for this if Saudi Arabia tries to make a competitor to the NBA.
yeah, that'll be the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we can wrap up. This was a fun
Yeah.
episode with a little Sean Mack sighting. That was a riot.
Yeah, shirtless Sean Mack, always great for the fans.
Yeah, no, I think viewership is gonna skyrocket, and maybe we'll break the
150,
100%
200,
male.
200 bomb, maybe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, hit 200, and maybe like right now our it's 100% male viewership, so maybe shirtless Sean Mack will we'll see 1 or 2% female viewership, hopefully.
We'll see. We'll be tracking the advanced stats on this one.
But God bless. It's been another incredible episode of the Harold McBasketball Show. Good to be back. It was fun as always. Like and subscribe. No more 40 views, right? It's 100 plus from now on. I'm gonna make good clickbait on that thumbnail. And yeah, any closing thoughts, final words to the fans, Harry?
Yeah, thank you as always, fans. Thank you for bearing with me during my sick leave, but I'm back. We're back to making weekly content. Thank you all for tuning in. We are getting closer to the start of the season. We're officially in September now, so less than 2 months until the season is back on. Summer League will also be happening soon, or essentially like the preseason, so get excited about that. Yeah, and more good content to come, so stay tuned.
Only a few more weeks until Harden and Lillard actually have to go to training camp, so it could be interesting in these next few weeks for sure.
It's going to be awesome.
God bless everyone. Take care. We'll be back next week.
Thanks, fans. See ya.